We're told to do it more in church, and usually we say we're going to do it more, but fail and don't follow through. You probably know what I'm talking about. Prayer. Famously, Billy Graham said, "Whether prayer changes our situation or not, one thing is certain, prayer will change us." Billy Graham. Our society is crazy. There's a ton of information that rattles the brain, how many distractions there are. And it's not even like a negative spirit or demonic thing, it's literally just how much information there is coming in. And we forget to pray outside of maybe right before we eat, and we don't put forth the effort to force ourselves to stop and thank God. Colossians chapter 4 verse 2, American Standard Version, continue steadfastly in prayer, watching therein with thanksgiving. I'm sure at some point in your life you've had frustration in prayer, whether if that be an unanswered prayer or just not feeling the desire to pray, period. Before we dig into the passage, Billy Graham has one more great piece of advice for us. No matter how dark and hopeless a situation might seem, never stop praying. Billy Graham. New Living Translation, Daniel chapter 10 verses 12 through 14. Verse 12, "Then he said, 'Don't be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you began to pray for understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your request has been heard in heaven. I have come in answer to your prayers.' Verse 13, "But for 21 days the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. Then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia." Verse 14, "Now I am here to explain what will happen to your people in the future, for this vision concerns a time yet to come." This passage in Daniel shows us there's a lot going on in prayer. Everything from ourselves and being humble to God to ultimately there's a lot of spiritual warfare that's happening that we don't see because we're a part of the physical world, not the spiritual world. And sometimes the answers to our prayers are coming, but we need to be faithful and wait. We can clearly see from what the angel said, Daniel's prayer was heard from day one in heaven. And he was planning on coming or was coming, whatever you want to say there, but what kept him at bay was this spiritual being, obviously a dark being, you could say a demon, a principalities, whatever you want to call it, for the kingdom of Persia. And that was blocking this angel from getting to Daniel to answer his prayer. We can also see here kind of the levels of authority in angels, and we all know that Michael is pretty far up the food chain. So Michael, the archangel, ultimately had to come and put this principalities or spirit prince in his place that allowed the angel to come to Daniel. This shows us that whenever our prayers go unanswered, there's a lot more at play than just God's not listening to me. Are you asking for something that's truly valuable? Are you being selfless? Are you being humble? Are you being prideful and selfish in your prayers? Are you asking for a new TV versus asking for God to watch over a friend, right? You get the difference there. The other thing too, we see that there's a greater story that we just don't get to take part of or understand, where you could have prayers going up to heaven, and yes, God's hearing them because God is omnipresent, omnipotent, all the omnis, but there are things that are happening at a time schedule we just don't understand. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 17, New Century Version. Pray continually. Pray without ceasing, never stopping, always giving thanks to God, laying your burdens before Him, praising Him for everything. Do this and find love, joy, relationship, repentance in your prayer life. Ask yourself these questions and then comment down below. How would you use this to help someone who is struggling with unanswered prayers? What is your opinion on spiritual warfare? Why is humbling yourself before God an important part of your prayer life? Do you like studying the Bible and you want to keep learning more? Then check out this next video and expand your knowledge of the Bible.